The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
And welcome to today's episode of Bermuda's Feel Good Early Morning Show. Good day, Bermuda. I'm Terri Tuku alongside Jacky Lambert, and we are ready to bring you some feel good vibes this morning. Today, we are talking all things sports related. Jacky is a lifelong athlete, while I am more of a workout junkie. And so we're going to have an interesting conversation around all things sports, and we are sharing a portion of our conversation with Bermuda Cricket Board's Marketing and Fund Development Manager, Rajan Simon. So do make sure you stick around to see that part of the episode. We are going to start off with our feel-good moment of the day. We are talking about mental health of athletes. I don't know if you've seen, but recently there has been a lot of conversation around the mental health of professional athletes and amateur and possibly just regular folks who like to play sports. So Jacky, let's talk a little bit more about that.
So if you're unsure, we are talking about Naomi Osaka. She recently withdrew from the French Open. She has anxiety. She has social anxiety, but even more anxiety when it comes to talking to the media. And as we spoke about it for a hot second on Friday on the Daily Hour. And we were saying how we are the media. So now I'm playing both sides. I am media, but I'm also an athlete. And when we think about how we almost have to be careful of how we ask certain questions when athletes come off the court or off the field. I don't know if everybody notices, but when you're watching a sport, when the game is over, a lot of people take their time coming off the court. And what I've noticed is I used to do the same thing when it came to just going up in the stands with our spectators. So spectators, also please be mindful that a loss is still a huge loss to an athlete, no matter how big or small it is to you. We put a lot of time and effort in. And the last thing we want to deal with is you saying, how you lose that match or anything like that. It's the worst because we're sitting there already mad at ourselves. Like, no, seriously, how did I lose that match? And then I have to sit up there and listen to all the things I did wrong. And it's not fun. Like, just give me a second, give me a break. And I have to say once again that I command and agree with Osaka. Your mental health comes first. If the last thing you want to do is talk to the media, then they have to find a way to work with the athletes. Like, this is our sanctuary. Most of the time, sports are our sanctuary. It's our outlet. And you're taking that fun and love away from us. And luckily, she's made enough money that she can walk away. But you have videos from Venus, you have videos from Serena that they were almost groomed differently from young with their parents on the things that they were going to have to do because the dad knew from young that these girls have to go pro. They have to, make some money for the family. Mm-hmm. So I love what, I'm not sure if anybody saw, I had shared it, but I know I had sent it to you, Terri. Venus was saying how you can't do anything to almost gaslight her or, get her. You can't study putt with her because nothing you can do matters because you can't beat her. So if you say and write something that is insulting to her, it's not going to bother her because at the end of the day, she is one of the greatest when it comes to tennis. And most of the people that are writing can't do.
Exactly. And we do want to get the audience involved in this conversation. So let us know in the comments, what are your thoughts on this? I'm actually going to play that video that Jacky just mentioned. So if you're not sure what she's talking about as far as what Venus said, go ahead and play that, and we'll come back to the comments.
I quote, how I deal with it was that I know every single person asking me a question can't play as well as I can and never will. So no matter what you say or what you write, you'll never let it cancel me. So that's how I deal with it. But each person deals with it differently.
And I agree.
Absolutely. And so, Jinx, I do want to come back and just say good morning to Sean Smith, and thank you for tuning in with us first thing this morning. And also good morning to Melody. Thank you both for being a part of the conversation with us. Jackie, you mentioned that, after you are finished with a match, when you get ready to maybe possibly talk to press, that's like a time where you're trying to like decompress. What does that look like for you? Like, what are some of the things you say to yourself, or how do you prep yourself for those conversations?
It's almost like that shake it off deep breath. So I'll be like, all right, here we go. Let's just get it over and done with. And typically, I haven't really had too many bad experiences, maybe one or two, but sometimes it's from other athletes, and I look and I'm just like, you're serious? Because I'm pretty sure you've had this experience and you know what it's like. And for you to come at me like this is inappropriate. You've had this experience. Let's not play that game today. But for the most part, I just like try and shake it off and go up there with my positive, bubbly, energetic self and knock it out the ballpark. Because, I mean, if you want the attitude, you're going to have to take a few takes. It's not going to be live in Bermuda. You can't ask those questions, because sometimes I would look at you and I'm like, that's a real question? Like, you just asked me that? I don't know if anybody actually watches Serena, but she does that too. She's just like, of all the questions you could have asked me, you asked that one, right?
Right.
Why did you lose the match? I don't know. I've only been off the court for 7 minutes. I haven't had a chance to actually fully analyze these when I was living in the moment.
Right. And actually, speaking of Serena, so after her pregnancy with her daughter, she had, this cat suit, which I'm going to actually share quickly, a tweet that we actually we found where it had, referenced that cat suit that she wore. And the intention of the cat suit was to assist her with possibly or not showing or getting any blood clots. Yeah. And so I thought it was interesting. If you can speak to that for us, Jack.
So she was having some medical issues where the blood flow wasn't really as fluid and natural. So her doctor suggested that she wear something. It's almost like compression socks and stuff like that. So it's like a compression suit. And a lot of people were losing it because it's not the most traditional tennis outfit, right? But when you think about my life and the sport, a lot of people start to take ownership over these professional athletes as if they're theirs. We are not yours. So we have to do what's best for us. So in this case, I mean, Serena always gets something. She would wear it at Wimbledon. You're supposed to wear all white. She'd have a little bit of color in her bloomers, and there's an uproar. She wears the cat suit. There's an uproar. But my issue is they constantly come at her. But if, say, Sharapova or somebody else does it, it's not as big an issue. Oh, it looks good. Like that's a different card thing.
The sigh of the black woman. The sigh of the black woman. I do want to say good morning to SLW Smith. Thank you for joining us. If you are just tuning in to this episode of Good Day Bermuda, Jackie and I are talking about mental health of professional athletes. There has been a lot of conversation around that. And because Jackie is a tennis pro, we decided to start off this conversation around the sport of tennis. And we talked about Naomi Osaka and her decision to remove herself from the French Open. And yes, she did receive a fine. And she mentioned that she would take that because for her, she can afford to do that. And she knows that what it's like to be a professional athlete and have to deal with with that pressure from the media right after you've just taken a loss. And Jackie spoke about her experiences around that and how it is challenging to figure out how to show up in that space when you just lost and you were trying to win. Like the point of playing the competitive sport is to win, right? And so, I mean, what I guess, Jacky, from your perspective, what are some of the things the media can do for both the winners and the losers right after a match when they're trying to, like, you know, interview them? Like, is there something that they should be doing? Like, should they be waiting a certain amount of time? How should they be approaching this? Because it's become a hot topic.
Well, some of the media actually does a great job. Like, sometimes they'll be like, hi, I know you just had a loss and, you know, I hope you can come back and bounce from this. It's all about the wording and the tone, right? Some of them, they come at you hard, and it's almost like they have a chip on their shoulder about you. And honestly, I think the best thing that the tournaments can do, I don't see how finding somebody that is screaming out that they need a mental break is helping the situation.
Right.
That's literally adding more fuel to the fire. Like, this is a worldwide issue, and the one thing you want to do is take more money from me. Take it. Like, my mental health, me lasting longer, is more important. Like, God forbid it was worse, and there are some people that can handle it and they end up, I use this word, I don't like using this word, committing suicide. And luckily it never got to that point, and hopefully it never does, because you're strong enough to take a stand and say, absolutely not. Well, you know what? You could have this tournament, and even more, well, you could have the money for the fine as well. I just think that what the media can do to help is be a little bit more understanding. Like, we're humans as well. So had you just, your mics and your cameras cost upwards of $500 to thousands of dollars, how would you feel if somebody broke your camera or your mic and then said, oh, you just lost your camera? I'm so sorry. How does that make you feel? Well, when are you going to buy a new one? Are you going to get back in the business, or are you done? Like, at what point do you guys remember that we're all in the same game called life, and we're all just trying to make it through? And sometimes we need to take a hiatus and take a break.
Right. And so we have a question here from Sean Smith. I don't know if you will be able to answer this, Jack, but do you have to be a part of a governing body or association to play a professional sport? That's the first part. And then if so, are you required to talk to the media after each event? So can you speak to that from, like, a tennis perspective or any sport?
So I can speak about it on the tennis side. So when it comes to professionals in the US, they're usually tied to the USTA. So that is the governing body of tennis in the States. Then the governing body of tennis worldwide is the ITF, which stands for International Tennis Federation. That is, I think when you saw behind Venus in the video, it was, I never pronounce it right, Paribus. I never pronounce it right. But in Bermuda is Bermuda Lawn Tennis Association, so it's BLTA. So in order for you, and you don't have, and this is only if you're competing and trying to win. Bermuda just started to do money tournaments, and they don't have many. But when it comes to getting your ranking, because in order for you to represent Bermuda, you have to have a local ranking. And in order for you to have a local ranking, you have to be a part of the Bermuda Lawn Tennis Association. So if that answers your question, then yes. But that doesn't come to media, because there are some tournaments that are just club tournaments. And I'm not sure if they do media, because I'm not a part of a club in that case. But when it comes to the bigger tournaments, depending on the organizers, yes, there usually is media, and it all depends on if the media wants to talk to you at some points in Bermuda. But a lot of the times I was asked to have a conversation, and not always was I the best. I have been written up because I have lost tough matches, and I remember I was about 16 and it was a horrible match. It was rough. And I remember not even being able to speak to the media. They just got up and left. And then I woke up on Monday, and the headline was, President's daughter needs disciplinary action, because I was not the happiest with my match. But if you guys do anything in life and you fail and you have outbursts, just remember that we are humans as well, and we have outbursts as well. But
And
that's
so we have another comment here from SLW Smith. She says she's proud of her being Naomi Osaka for her stand. People are not taking into consideration that athletes are people. Absolutely. And so if you're just joining the conversation, we are talking about the mental health of athletes. As you may have seen in the news lately, a lot of professional athletes have been taking a stand and standing up for the fact that themselves and their fellow athletes are being held to a different standard, obviously, because they're professional athletes, but their mental health is just as important to them as it is to other folks. And we have another question here from Sean Smith. He asks, do these governing bodies offer any assistance to the athlete for mental health? So from a tennis perspective, Jack, do you know if they offer that?
So not in Bermuda, not from my experience, no, but with these ongoing situations, a lot of us, because Bermuda is so small, we have a tight-knit tennis community. I'm not sure about other sports, but I know that we all kind of like band together and check on each other and stuff like that. You can see us finishing a match, and even though we're irate, we'll hug each other and then we'll talk it out after a few minutes once everybody has cooled down and gotten their wits about themselves. But I did get a notification on my phone, because I'm an ESPN freak, saying that a lot of the Grand Slams, which is the French, Australian, you have Wimbledon and the US Open, they are all trying to figure out how that they can come together and stand behind the tennis athletes per se, and help with mental health. So hopefully that all goes well, because most of the time when we have our outbursts, people just laugh and they're just like, oh, you know.
That definitely sounds like it's going to be a great initiative for sure. We have another comment from SLW Smith. Jack, if you want to read it.
Exactly, Jackie. So many can't cope. Then they pretend to be sorry. Lost so many. Yep. I've lost some friends, and it's not fun. So I tend to try and check on everybody to make sure that they're making it through.
Absolutely. We have another question here from Monica Dunstan. She asks, do you think former athletes make better reporters versus those who have never been on the court, field, etc.?
Absolutely. So I know a lot of them transition into sports talk, like sports radio and stuff like that. So I don't know if everybody knows Antonio Pierce. He is a former NFL player for the New York Giants. When he first came off, he was coach, but then he was also sitting in the studio behind. And of course, you have the banter, but for the most part, they're a little bit more sympathetic to everybody. But I think that would be a better transition, that, you know, we will interview each other, because I think the rapport will be better as well, because it's coming from somebody that has the history behind being on the circuit. And then they also were coming up. So can you imagine Serena retires and then she's interviewing you? I know you have a few of them, like Monica Seles will come out and do it. You have Billie Jean King that will come out and ask questions. Katrina Adams, which is the former two-time USTA first Black female president. They come out and they will interview and ask questions. And it's definitely a little bit more soothing, because you're asking questions that you are okay with asking yourself.
And so I think that actually aligns with the second part, I guess, to Monica's question about, do you think former athletes would make better reporters? She says, in terms of asking questions in a more sensitive way. And I think Jackie just kind of touched on that, because if you've been in the space, you know what it's like to be an athlete. So you kind of know what that feels like, and you know how to be empathetic towards the person that you're asking the question of. And I think they might even ask the question, like, do you feel comfortable answering this right now? Like, are you okay to answer this? Or do you want to try to do it maybe 30 minutes from now, an hour from now, maybe tomorrow, first thing in the morning? Like, I think, you know, that might be some of the way that rapport gets built, because I think that also, if reporters were a little bit more sensitive and a little bit more compassionate, they would be able to have some really great interviews and probably get inside scoops, right?
Yeah. And I think people forget that pro athletes are still young. Like the average, now the average tennis player is a little bit older. But for the most part, a lot of these guys are going pro for tennis. They don't even go college. They go straight pro. So we're 16, 15, 16, 17 on the adult circuit. This isn't the junior circuit anymore. So some of them are playing juniors and adult circuit. So we're going from the juniors, where they're a little bit more sensitive, to now you look at me as a grown woman, and I have to carry myself a certain way, but I'm still trying to gather my emotions. Like I'm still maturing.
Puberty. I'm still dealing with new hormones, like all of these things. So we have one more question before we move on to our feel-good topic of the day. This next question is from Phil It's actually a two-part question. The first part, is it just me, or do you find the media treats female players differently from male players in terms of questioning and coverage? Also, Shiloh says, good morning, Aunt Jackie.
Morning, Shy.
He says, if so, why?
Yes, I have seen where they have definitely treated women differently. In the sport of tennis, I know for sure. Obviously, NFL is just man talking to man. But you guys talking to guys, I'm not sure if everybody realizes, but you guys talk differently to each other. You're not going to be aggressive to each other because I think it's the fear of the guy getting up and smacking you. But what you don't realize is that a woman will get up and smack you too.
Right.
I'm not threatening you guys, but you got to understand that we're going through emotions and we're still trying to contain ourselves from yelling at ourselves. A lot of tennis players talk to ourselves because it's literally us on the court by ourselves. So we're getting mad at ourselves. We're not speaking positively over ourselves. You're sitting on the court saying, you're serious? You can't be this dumb. You did not just hit that shot. You could have just done a drop shot. Why did you have to go for so much power? And then you're coming off, and the same thing that you're shouting at yourself for in your head, they're asking you for. And they're not as gentle with us. I don't know why men aren't, like the male media, actually media period, because some females are catty, are like that to us. Like, do you want us to be nasty? And I have to be like this because I'm going to play that card. When people talk to Sharapova or any other white person, now I'm just going to say females, they are a little bit more gentle. When you guys talk to us Black people, males, women, you guys are harsh. Your tone is like, it's almost like you hate us. And I don't know if you actually notice it, but it changes. It's a little bit more aggressive. And I'm not sure what it is between us and you, because I'm not sure who's watching. But you guys should really look inwards and figure out what the issue is and not project whatever hate you have towards us on us, because it's not fair. It's really not. And I have experienced it.
Right. And we did have a comment earlier from SLW Smith about that racial bias thing. And so that does wrap up our feel good moment of the day. If you do have any other comments around that, feel free to drop them in the comment section. We'll come back to them a little later on in the episode. We're going to switch gears over to our feel good topic of the day, which is our interview with Rajan Simons of the Bermuda Cricket Board. Last month, the BCB announced an exciting partnership that sees Bermuda's under-19 and senior men's team having an official kit. This is for the first time ever. Jackie and I spoke with BCB's marketing and fund manager, Rajan Simons, and we got the scoop on what it took to secure that kit deal, plus the challenges the organization has faced since Rona, because we've all been dealing with it. None of us have been exempt from it. So we're going to play that first clip of the interview with you all, and then we'll have some commentary from you guys from the audience.
First things first, there's no sport right now, and there hasn't been for the past year. So that's been difficult. Obviously, we got lucky as a sport because we had our short T20 season last summer. So that was from July to August, September. And then we also were able to have like an all-star match. So we got really lucky with that. And it was a lot of it was a lot of hard work to do that logistics-wise, with finding suitable grounds for spectators, because obviously I had about 250 spectators 250 persons at the games, including spectators, so teams, staff, etc. So it was a difficult time, but it was successful. And I think it just taught us a lot of lessons. It taught us that we can set standards and we can put things in place now during the pandemic that will help us in the future, if that makes sense. So the things that we did last year would help us with this season if we have it. The things that we put in place, like the protocols and the safety measures and that kind of thing.
If you like this video and want to watch more, head over to our YouTube channel and subscribe today so that you never miss an episode of Good Day Bermuda.
So, Jackie, what were you thinking when Rajan had mentioned about the obstacles that they overcame? Like, from your perspective, did you think that it was as difficult as it had been for organizations, or were you thinking like maybe they're just taking a break, like they're just enjoying their time off?
No, well, because I'm friends with Rajan, so I was seeing her
Mm-hmm.
tweets and stuff, and she just wanted to get back out there and get the sport operating. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not easy because there's so much protocol and red tape and stuff that you have to do to get stuff running. Because from my perspective on this side of tennis, we had to constantly email, call, write in to the health department and to just government period to try and get answers of what we can do and how we can operate, just to get us all back out there, and to see that they were actually able to get some of the sport played last year is still exciting. I didn't get to go down there because I was too busy trying to work, but
Mm-hmm.
to know that there's possibilities for this year coming because they were able to implement stuff last year to help with the flow and functionality of this year. It's exciting. It's a positive thing.
Absolutely. And you mentioned that you had seen Rajan talking about how she misses, being out there and being able to do stuff around cricket. So we have a question for the audience that we want to get your feedback on. What do you miss most about sports in Bermuda? I know for myself, even though I no longer play sports, I've been a part of Hamilton Parish Workmen's Club, and we do have football as our sport.
Mhm.
And I didn't realize how much work goes into the entire match. Because before then, I'd always been a spectator, and even other sports, I've just watched them. And so it was really interesting to be behind the scenes and see that it's not just show up at match time and go. You have to get there sometimes 2 hours before. And with the pandemic, it was 3-4 hours before the match start. You were trying to get there because you had to do, all of the different touch points. So Jack, what about you? What do you miss most about sports here in Bermuda?
I miss the banter and the trash talk. I am the biggest trash talker on the side, depending if I know you. If I know you and I have that relationship with you. When it comes to football, I love it. I actually really miss Corona League because I used to spend Fridays and Saturdays down BAA laughing at we all know Daniel Woods and the Rhinos, so I love going down there and teasing them, and they miss it too. I'm like, come on, guys, you're faster than that, and they're walking. But I do miss the banter, the camaraderie, just the whole atmosphere of I miss the air horns, the stuff like that. We don't even get to see our national players play in Bermuda. They're about to. I think when do they leave the football?
I would assume they've already left because the match is tomorrow.
Oh my God. Yeah.
We're actually going to talk about that a bit more tomorrow. But yes, I agree with you. The atmosphere has definitely been something that I miss as well. If you're just joining us, we are talking about all things sports related. Go ahead and let us know in the comments section what you miss most about sports here in Bermuda. For Jacky, it's definitely been the atmosphere and the just being able to encourage and inspire her friends on the match in a very interesting manner, aka banter. And for me, I would say that even though the match management is an extensive part of the process, it does take a lot of work, I do miss being able to kind of see it come to life, because I think from that perspective, seeing how much people appreciate the sport and how much they actually want to be there as well, it kind of makes that hard work, it paid off. It was worth it in the end. And then I actually want to go back to a comment from Carmen Jens, Jacky, that she had mentioned when you were talking about the reporters, if they are athletes, kind of being also coming on as a reporter. When you're talking about is it gentle or respectful when speaking, can you kind of, I guess, go a little bit more into that?
So when it comes to, I think she's talking about when it comes to your turn, I think it's almost one and the same, right? So depending on your turn is the amount of respect you have for me and the sport that we're playing. And I don't know if everybody's played tennis, but it's not easy. I mean, I can't play football. I think I can, but I can't. So when you're asking people certain questions about things that you're not capable of doing, or doing it to that level, it's best if you a little bit more gentle with your tone and respectful with your words. So I think it's actually they're both connected and joined.
And so we'll wait for some more comments to come through around what people miss about sports in Bermuda. Make sure you drop them in the comment section so that Jacky and I can shout you out and have a conversation with you. Another thing we wanted to talk about, Jack, was how many people do you think are on the team at BCB? Now, Jacky and I know this answer because we were in the conversation with Rajan, but let's talk about, I guess, how many people we think an ideal team should have in it.
I always think about mini teams, right? So you have the one main team, and then it should break off and everybody's able to delegate and have their little team to make sure that everything goes on. So I feel like it should be at least 15 people. But and knowing the number and knowing the amount of work that they have to put in, I remember, I'm not sure if you saw my face when we was interviewing Rajan, but when she said how many, I was just like, I'm sorry, who? That's not enough. Like, I know it's not like they're not capable and they're not doing a great job, because they're doing a phenomenal job, especially during the pandemic. But just thinking the amount of work and time and effort that goes into it, they need help. I'm not sure if they have the volunteers or need volunteers, or if they have the finances to hire people and pay them, even if it's just something slight. But something, I feel that's a lot of work for a small team.
All right. So if you're just joining us, we have a question up here on the screen. How many people do you think are on the team at Bermuda Cricket Board? Go ahead and drop that in the comments. We're going to come back to what people miss most about sports here in Bermuda. We have a comment from BDA Triangle Jack.
Big crowds at national cricket or football matches, plus the ITU events, etc. Atmosphere can't beat it. I'm guessing is what he said. Can't beat it.
What's ITU? Do you know?
I'm not sure, but I feel
okay,
like
BA Triangle, you're going to have to let us know what ITU means, because Jacky and I both don't know, and now we feel like we need to find this thing out because we're missing something apparently.
I feel like
we have another comment here from Sean Smith. He says, I miss the youth football in Bermuda. Youth sports was definitely great here on the island. I know for myself, being a part of Hamilton Parish Workmen's Club, we do have a youth team as well. And the youth games do get some support. They do get people out there, and the kids love it, right? And I think that's what we want to kind of make sure that we don't lose their passion, their love for their sports, because they're the next generation. They're going to be the next leaders of the country. And so we want them to be excited about their favorite sports. So, BDA Triangle answered us. It's the triathlon, which features Florida.
Oh, yes.
You can tell that Jacky and I are not triathlon folks. Or like,
I should know this though, because a few people I know have been training to do triathlons, and they're screaming on Twitter saying, can y'all just tell us when there might be a triathlon? Because I'm still training. Daniel trains every day. And I'm just like, I feel sorry for him because he's not training for anything.
I mean, he's training for his own personal health and wellness. At the very least, he'll be healthier. So we asked the question of the audience, how many people do you think are on the team at BCB? And we have a possible answer. Kivane says 20 ? And so 20 is definitely a large number. And when you think about 20 folks on a team, that can possibly be a little bit difficult to manage. But I think idealistically thinking, that would definitely sound like that would be, if we had 20, we have a squad. We would be like, we would be lit. And so we have Rajan here in the comments. She says, LOL, I wish. That is funny. So we're going to go back to the second part of our conversation with Rajan, and then we will be back with some more questions and comments from our audience.
Okay, yeah, so without saying it.
If you want, you can do it however you want.
Okay, well, without saying the brand, the cricket board has had a small issue of not really having a solid kit sponsor or kit manufacturer. We've been jumping around and using a bunch of manufacturers for the past couple of years, and we've never really had somebody solid. And also when it comes down to touring and the teams using those clothing items, we don't have anybody we can just call and say, hey, we need 20 shirts or we need X, Y, and Z. So a part of my mission in January was to actually find us a sole manufacturer and also implement a proper kit system for us. so that we can be more organized. And like sometimes, I don't know if you know what the ICC is, but that's the governing body of cricket. And sometimes when we go on these tours, we know that they're going to happen, but sometimes we have to qualify, and then we're kind of dropped into it within like a month. So it's like a scramble to get everything together. So my sole purpose after witnessing that the year before was to solidify a manufacturer, so that when that time comes, it can just be like, a quick email, we need X, Y, and Z, so-and-so is going, this is the number, and move forward that way.
If you like this video and want to watch more, head over to our YouTube channel and subscribe today so that you never miss an episode of Good Day Bermuda.
And so we have a question here for the audience, wrapping up after that particular segment of our interview with Rajan. As we mentioned, do make sure you head over to our YouTube channel. It actually is going to go live at 7:45. So do make sure, if you want to watch that full interview, that you head over to our YouTube channel to watch that. The question we have for the audience is, would you purchase merchandise or a replica kit of Bermuda's national cricket squad? Now, Jack, you have to answer this first, because during our interview, you were excited.
I still am excited. I'm waiting for Rajan to say, "It's here, Jack," and I can just get to her house and pick it up, because I want the gym bag. I want everything. Track suit, track bottoms, the t-shirt, the summer wear. Yeah, I just want to be walking out and be like, all things Bermuda. Because I don't have
Bermuda.
Our kit for tennis changes every time we represent Bermuda, so I have everything's different. So to know that. Yeah, so to know that this may be the kit indefinitely, and obviously it'll be probably some alterations and stuff. But I want to be part of the first to have it.
Awesome.
If Rajan's still there, I'm just putting in that little shameless question: can I get mine first?
Well, we have a comment from Rajan for you, Jack. She says it's coming, and if she's designing it, it's going to be lit. So we have another comment from BDA Triangle, Jack.
I remember after the regional T20 qualifier, Rajan said the team needs better quality kit. So good job. Yes, good job. Just put in work, guys.
Absolutely.
No, seriously, go over, watch the interview, like, subscribe, share. You can never share too much.
Absolutely. And Rajan did say, thank you, David. So just to make sure that you saw that comment from Rajan, she did say, thanks to you. And so we are asking our audience, would you purchase a merchandise or replica kit of Bermuda's national cricket squad? And we have a comment here from Kivane, Jack.
Probably a jersey top. You know what I want, Rajan? A jersey dress, because I have one for Germany and I have one for the Heat, and I need one for Bermuda because I like to wear them with my sneakers. And you're a sneakerhead, so you get it.
And she does get it. And then, so Jack, a jersey top, explain what that is for those of us like myself that are not that fashionable.
Well, gosh, so you have two versions. So you have the ones that are the kit that is what the national football players have. So it's regular, basic. And then you have the other ones that could be a button up. So I'm not sure which one Rajan's designing. So she'd have to be the one to ask. But I see
another comment that says KAPPA makes dresses. So there it is. There you have it. And we have another, as we're getting ready to wrap up our feel good topic of the day, we have a comment here from Jody Virgil, Jack.
Great information about the BCB. We'll look at the full interview. The team has 3 amazing people working there, and I'm sure many volunteers too. So yes, guys, the answer is 3. So if you're just as shocked as me, put an eyes.
Definitely put an eyes in the comments, because we had a comment here from BDA Triangle that says BCB office couldn't hold 20 people. So that should also give you a clue that 20 was definitely a wish list amount of people. And we do actually have some trivia questions for you that we're not going to get into in this episode, but we will post them on social media. So do make sure, if you're not already following us on Twitter and Instagram, that you follow us at Good Day Bermuda. And tomorrow we will share those answers with you. So do make sure that you go ahead and do that. Kivane gave you the eyes, Jackie, so she agrees.
Thanks, Ki.
With that. And so let's transition over to our feel good vibe of the day, Jack, as we get ready to wrap up.
So I'm not sure if everybody knows, but Ryan Tucker also known as Black, or some people call him BLAC, has had 2 amazing write-ups on international media websites. One is called Woke Chimp, and the other one, let me confirm, is called The Feature Presentation. Both are finished with .com. Beautiful write-ups. I'm not sure if you guys listen to his music, but I love it. He has a few collaborations, and honestly, start off with reading his write-up, so because his interviews are so in depth and he has such a beautiful soul. And then when you listen to his music, he just puts all of that into his music, and he just has a wicked flow. Honestly, the guy is brilliant, and he also has some clothing merchandise as well. So if you guys want to get out there and support, I do know he has a few things on YouTube, some music videos, and the guy is just brilliant. So that is our feel good day. Support your Bermudians and listen to his music. It's definitely one of those it kind of goes 2 and 2, right? So there's a great story to go up and read with. And then of course you can follow it with some feel good music because it's very smooth. He has a smooth voice.
Absolutely. And we'll post all of those links to our social media. We have one last comment from Jody Virgil before we wrap up today's episode. Lots of work done by a small team, awesome team. That is in reference to the BCB. So do make sure you head over to our YouTube channel and check out the full interview with Rajan. And we hope that today's feel good vibe of the day has you ready to make a great start to your day. I'm Terri Tuku alongside Jacky Lambert. We trust we will see you tomorrow, same time, same place. Until the next episode, peace and have a good day, Bermuda.